Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Take Two Podcast. My name is Brian. I'm the host here at Take Two Podcast. This is episode 300. 300 straight weeks of regular weekly shows coming into your ear holes from Take Two Podcast. And for those who are new here, this is our final episode ever. This is it. 300 straight weeks, 692 episodes together. Take Two Podcasts is all done. Almost 6 years of podcasting, 8 different hosts that we have had along the way, many spin-off shows, many fun specialty shows, a litany of guests, Hollywood stars, from independent filmmakers all the way up to legitimate stage, TV, film actors, actresses, filmmakers along the way. And this is it, guys. This is our final episode. This is it. Take Two Podcasts. It's closing the books. We're wrapping things up. We are shutting off the lights. Save them. We're all done. I'm going to save all the reminiscing to the end, because if I started now, then I'll be sobbing throughout the entire episode, and that would be boring for the majority of you guys. I want to start with saying thank you to all the listeners. We'll start just with that. The listeners are what made this show last almost 6 full seasons. This is what made this show go 692 episodes total, 300 straight weeks, guys. 300 straight weeks. We did not miss a week. And there were some times where it was sketch. We were not sure what was going to happen. There was audio issues, file issues, internet issues. Oh, internet issues. So many, a litany of things. As you guys just heard, my air conditioning just decided to turn on, even though I have it turned off right now. A litany of things throughout all the year. I mean, just scheduling. I mean, goodness gracious. Everything. We never missed. 300 straight weeks. And, I don't know if the content was any good from day one to day now, but the one thing we can hang our hats on is that we never missed a week, 300 straight. So let's get rocking into this episode. Let's do this show. Going to bring back some old segments. So for some of you new listeners that are like, what the hell was that? It's just some old segments that we kind of, phased out over the years, stopped doing or did less of, what have you. So there'll be a little bit of fun along the way. And then at the end will be a goodbye to everybody, and so that's when you don't need to listen anymore, so that way you don't hear me get email. Now I think I'm okay. I'm all right. Last week I had a problem pushing record. Legit. Last week I had an issue pushing record. I was like, if I hit record, then I have to record, and then that's just the beginning of the end type thing. This week, not as much. I will say, as I was writing down some notes here, I was like, shoot, that's the last time I'll write those notes. That's the last time I'll write those notes, and what have you. I don't know. We shall see. But this show is on its way to Valhalla. Today we have 3 reviews. Thor, Love and Thunder will be the main film review. The Boys over on Amazon Prime, that wrapped up. We'll be reviewing that. And Superman and Lois over on CW finished its 2nd season. Those will be the 3 reviews. I'm so pumped because the very first thing that was discussed on this show was the DCEU, was DC Comics, and mention of that. And our final review will be talking about a DC character, Superman, and that whole world. Also, I'm a little excited that it's a CW show. Like, kind of makes sense to have a CW review on the final episode. Of course, guys, for longtime listeners, you remember we had a little contract there with the CW network here in Washington, D.C., and worked with them for a while. And not for nothing, at the end of the day, we get to work in CW studios, and things may not have gone as swimmingly as we would have loved, but whatever. That's all we'll say. Moving on. All right, Take Two Podcast, guys. You can still follow the show. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can email take210x@gmail.com. No, I'm just kidding. That's the old email. I've waiting 6 weeks for that joke, and it wasn't that great. Our original email was take2, the number 10, the letter X, at gmail.com. And it is not that anymore. It is take2podcast@gmail.com. That's the one you can email. You can try and email the old one. I think Nick checks that still to this day. There's probably like 10,000 emails there. Whereas we get, not a lot on the regular one. But that old one, it's hopping, baby. Nick has to clean that out daily, probably. Either way, and then I'm sorry, don't do the hotline. I turned off the hotline. There is no more voicemail. Sorry. If you want to leave a voicemail, call my direct number. If you don't know that, DM, slide into our DMs on Twitter or whatever, and I'll just give it to you. I don't care. We can talk going forward. All right, today, Thor, Superman, The Boys. Those are going to be the reviews. Of course, we have Casting Couch, Hollywood, DC, Marvel, all sorts of news, some the What's in the Glass is coming back. Trailer Talk is coming back. A First Take is coming back. And a couple other little fun things along the way. But hey, let's get the show rocking. Let's get this thing rolling. It is episode 300. My name is Brian. Welcome here to Take Two Podcast. We always have started things off with the box office, so let's do that right now. Box office, baby. There's some that feel that the winner, we knew that. We knew who the winner was going to be from day one. We knew that for a while ago. We talked about that going forward, who the winner was going to be. I think there might be a few folks out there that are a little like, that's all it made. But then there should be, the majority of the people think that's good money for that. That is good money right there. But I do know there are some higher expectations for the cash for the opening weekend for Thor, Love, and Thunder. $143 million it pulls in opening weekend. I mean, it's fantastic. That's the third highest opening weekend of the year behind Doctor Strange and Top Gun. So, it's July and you have the third biggest opening weekend at $143 million. I can't be mad at that, right? You shouldn't be mad at that either if you were Disney, if you're Marvel, whatever. I just think Thor is a more popular character than Doctor Strange. So, excuse me. Woo! Let's keep that in the pot. Not editing nothing to this week. So therefore, they're expecting maybe more out of this. Thor Ragnarok was well received, very well. A lot of people have Thor Ragnarok like in their top 5 of the MCU. Some people have it as their favorite movie of all time. But so you're coming off of that. You're thinking you're going to make a lot of cash. You're pushing the $200 million mark. I think expectations were that high. And Doctor Strange pulled in, what was it, 187 for its opening weekend? Now granted, a lot of expectations with Doctor Strange were coming off of Spider-Man high, and then also coming into the multiverse where it wasn't necessarily Doctor Strange we were going to see. We were going to see what happens in the multiverse. What other characters are we going to bring in type deal. So I think that's why that opening weekend was so huge. But Thor, Love and Thunder opens up to 143. Now, it is currently sitting at about a 67% Rotten Tomatoes. So that might speak to why maybe it didn't do so well. The reviews are not that great across the board. Very tepid from a lot of folks. I'll get into mine a little bit later. But hey, 4,300 theaters, $143 million. Your opening weekend is not that bad. Number one. Number two, Minions Rise of Gru pulls another $45 million. 57% drop, but that is not bad. They actually upped the theater count for this one by about 40 theaters, so good for them. That puts them over $210 million domestically, 2 weeks. Rock on Minions Rise of Gru. I mean, they have made so much money with that. Steve Carell, I don't know if people talk about this to this day of this product that Steve Carell has just made billions of dollars off of this franchise, just from the theaters. Not even talking about merch and all that kind of stuff. If I say Steve Carell, 95% of you just thought about The Office. Bing. Not 95% of you thought about Minions or Gru and what have you. And I mean, I'm sure Steve Carell's fine with it. As long as he keeps on churning out this cash, right? That's totally cool. But just wild that this makes us money. And good for them. I talked about it last week. My son saw it. He really enjoyed it. I have a feeling that at some point I'll see it myself, probably when it comes into home view, because he really enjoyed it a bunch. And he's 5, and that's that lane for them. Anyway, Top Gun Maverick drops into third place, $15 million. 597 and some change domestically. So next week it'll cross that $300 million threshold. Flip. 600. Try and double that there, Brian. Next week, it'll cross that $600 million for domestic money. Good on Top Gun. Good on them. Great. Just a great movie. If you still have not seen that, my wife, maybe go out and see it because it's a fantastic film. Elvis comes in with $11 million. That puts it at 91. It's going to be close. It's only 3 weeks. It'll get it. Yeah. It'll get $100 million. Give it 3 more weeks and that thing will cross $100 million. So good for the Elvis people. Jurassic World into 5th place, $8 million. That puts it at 350 and some change. Making a lot of money for a bad movie. The Black Phone, another 7.6. Lightyear comes in at $2.9 million. That's still over 100. That's just going to tread water for a little bit there. I don't see it making tons and tons of cash because word of mouth is just bad. Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. This was limited release and it still made $340,000 and it opens up wider this weekend, I believe. I did not do a lot of going forward homework because there is no going forward for the show. Anywho, that's its 3rd week of limited release, and it's just under $1 million. Wait till that thing opens up wide. I'm hearing phenomenal things about this movie, phenomenal things about this film. So it should open up, and if word of mouth gets going on there, it'll make a couple of bucks, not a ton. Doctor Strange comes in still at 9th place, $260,000, and then Mr. Malcolm's List comes in a 2nd week of release for another $245,000, 1.6 is overall. The final box office. Disney has 1, 2, 3 of the top 10. Universal has 3 of the top 10. A little Paramount, a little Warner Brothers thrown in there. And an A24, which A24 has become a studio that has really blossomed in the past 6 years of the show. And so, like, rewind 6 years ago, how many people knew of A24? Not that many, right? It was a studio, but not. It has really just. I think it's because of Take Two Podcast has made A24 what it is today. All right, granted, this show has seen almost all of their products, so that's a grandiose statement. But either way, good for A24. I'm glad that A24 got in there for the final one. I'm now hitting that point where as soon as I end this segment, it is the box office for this show has been more than just we'll go over the numbers each week, right? Honestly, when we first started the show, I only did the top 5, and then it expanded to the top 10. But we had the box office challenge for multiple years. We had champions. We made big specialty episodes about it, big drafts, live in-person things. This is back when we used to the co-hosts, we'd all like actually get together. Is my phone turned on? Wow, professional. Ep1, there it is. Left the telephone turned on. Why not? Why not? Good times. All right, we're done with the box office. Let's move ourselves right on into the poll results. Poll this week was a simple one. I didn't want you guys to overthink it. I just wanted to know, plain and simple, how do you consume your podcast? How are you listening to me right now? How do you listen to that sports pod where you follow your favorite football or baseball or hockey team or what have you? Where do you listen to the other movie review people? Where do you listen to your political podcast? Whatever. When this show started 6 years ago, podcasts weren't as huge. It was growing. It was becoming a thing. And in these past 6 years, just as you people know, you're listening to a podcast right now, so you're not naive to the fact. They're just huge. And everyone has one. COVID helped that out. During COVID, it felt like, well, everyone, let me just order a microphone off of Amazon, and I've started a podcast. So, like, everyone and their mother has one. And we're on our way out. And a lot of credit to Skip to the End podcast, who showed us that, you can go out while you're still on top. And that's kind of a thing that we're trying to do here at Take Two Podcast. Still go out on a high, right? We're not going out with people turning us off. Leave them wanting more. Who wants more of me, huh? No? All right, so podcast. The options put out there were in your vehicle, in headphones, and on the computer, or then just other, if there are any others out there. And I thought the results were going to skew this way, and they did. In the vehicle, in your car, hopefully not on the motorcycle with the radio blaring. Fun story. I'm just dating my wife. Brand new. Just dating. We had just started dating. And this guy comes up on his motorcycle. Got the radio cranked up so everyone within 7 blocks can hear whatever song he's deciding to listen to. And I just, offhandedly, I'm just like, that's one of the dumbest things in the history of the world. She was like, what? And I said, I think that's one of the dumbest things in the world. Have a motorcycle with a radio. Now we all got to hear what you listen to. And you're on a motorcycle. You're negating the point of the motorcycle. You're on a bike. You're not, that's the whole thing. Get some earbuds, man. And she turns and she's like, my dad has a radio on his motorcycle. Yeah, we're still dating, so I must have been doing something right. But that was my first of many feet in mouth situations. Feet in mouth? Both of them? Got in there. All right, so in the vehicle, 42% of the vote. Headphones gets 31% of the vote. Other got 20% of the vote. And then on the old computer gets 7% of the vote. I will say, in true Take Two listener follower fashion, not a darn of you made a comment on Facebook. And that has been the staple from day one. Ever since these weekly polls began, nobody cares to say a thing on Facebook. That's fine. You guys held true to who you are. Rock on. Instagram and Twitter, although we did get comments there as the norm. Steve from Everything I Learned From Movies. Phenomenal podcast. I got to guest on their show one time. I did a terrible job, but they still kissed my butt and said that I was okay. But Steve, a great show that you guys do over there. Absolutely love everything they do. They put a ton of hard work into their show. Everything I Learned From Movies podcast. Subscribe to that instantly. They do a lot of fun things over there. But he said, on my phone at work, so you're working, listening to me right now. I hope your boss is not nearby to listening to this. Like, if you're going to get fired for listening to a podcast, I really feel bad for you right now, Steve, that it was mine that got you fired. Like, you should be listening to, like, Joe Rogan or something great. Or, boss, give Steve a raise. He's a phenomenal guy. No, all joking aside, everything I learned from movies, guys, if you don't listen to that pod. Now that you're done listening to this one, check them out. They're a good time. Penance RPG podcast said, doing chores or while working on our own podcast socials. I cannot vouch for Penance as a pod. I have not listened to them. I do know they are heavy onto their socials, so they do put in good work. So doing chores, I'm going to assume that means in their headphones. And then or while working on their own podcast socials. That speaks volumes right there. Because the hardest part of podcasting, folks, if anybody out there wants to start a pod, I say do it. I will tell you the hardest part of doing it is keeping up with the social networking. Just to promote your podcast, just to get people to listen to it, all that stuff. Anybody can just record a show, print, done, right? That takes 7 seconds. But if you want to really put some effort into, really put your stamp on things and then really get it out there, you obviously have to deal with the socials. And that is the hardest. And I say hardest in quotes for people who aren't watching on YouTube. Part of it is then that effort is so grandiose that you have to put into the show. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on. So anyone that wants to do a pod, rock on, do it. Just be prepared every single week to then do your socials, do your retweeting, do your sharing, all that kind of thing. So anyway, Penance RPG, they went with that. So the final poll says that you folks, the listeners, right now are in your vehicle listening to Take Two Podcast. Okay, we are done with the box office. We are done with the poll. We are now moving ourselves on to the reviews. We will lead things off with Thor, Love and Thunder. She got eyes on the bluest skies, and if they I hate to look into those eyes. I told my daughter that I used to sing Sweet Child of Mine to her when she was a baby, all the time. Kind of like a slowed down version. It wasn't her bedtime song, but it was a song that I would sing to her quite often. And she was like, "Really? That song? That's what you used to?" I was like, "Yeah, but I didn't rock out like that. It was like more of like a, I don't know, kind of like a lullaby-y version. No, but sometimes we needed to rock and roll. Either way, my favorite GNR song by far, easily, mainly for that reason, and it got played. We would do a quick spoiler-free, and then we would just jump into free talk after that, because it just needs to be that way. Directed by Taika Waititi, written by Taika Waititi, Jen Robinson and Stan Lee. Obviously, this was based upon his characters. Christopher Hemsworth, Natalie Portman, Christian Bale, Tessa Thompson, Taika Waititi, of course, voices Korg in this. Russell Crowe, Jamie Alexander, Chris Pratt, they're all in this film. This was meh. I'm just going to start off. This movie was meh. This movie, if you liked Thor Ragnarok and you liked that comedy, this said, we're going to take that to 11, right? And I liked Thor Ragnarok. It was fine. It was not as mind-blowing as many folks out there have it. So the comedy that they took to 11 did not hit for me. Now, I 100% understand any of you out there are like, what? It was hilarious. Cool. Totally cool. I get it if you feel that way. It just didn't work for me. It just did not hit for me. A lot of the jokes did not land. There is a specific part. It's in the trailer, so I can say it here. Thor is fighting guys, and then he jumps up and does the Jean-Claude Van Damme splits to fight two other guys. And he gives a cheesy smile to the camera. I have already heard people rave as that is a phenomenal, hilarious part of this movie. And it took me completely out of it. I thought it was dumb. I didn't enjoy it. So that's where I was with this comedy. And there is a lot of that throughout. A lot of Taika's comedy is a misdirection, right? You think one thing's going this way, think it's going to be going, and then in the background, something occurs. Haha, it happened behind you. You missed it. Joke, right? It's funny. He's a hilarious guy. What We Do in the Shadows and all these films that this guy and TV shows that this guy's... I'm a fan of Waititi. But his comedy, sometimes it goes just that extra. Oh, man. It was funny. Leave it. No, we added, and then we added. Style of comedy. And sometimes, to me, just the initial joke was fine. But then you kind of water it down by adding to the extra. Now, I understand how that hit so hard for many folks. Many folks might have listened or saw this film and thought, oh my God, hilarious. Non-stop laughter. That's awesome. Not me. A lot of these jokes just did not hit. So because of that, it just kept boring me. It just kept like, that wasn't funny. That wasn't funny. The goats, not funny, man. Not funny. You got the screaming goats from that old, it's pre-TikTok meme of that goat that screamed, that got beaten to death. Then it got put into every commercial under the sun, beaten to death. and now 6 years later we're going to put that joke into this multiple times. It was that was not funny at all, and a lot of that was in this film. So I'm not overly bashing here. It might sound like it, because it did have its moments, but some of it was just like, oh man, these are just simply not hitting. It's just not hitting for me, and that was a bit of a bummer. Now, the positives of this: Bale, 100% Bale. I'm bummed we didn't get more of this character. Like, you could have fleshed out this character way more. Instead of seeing Hemsworth do the splits, not actually do the splits, but, instead of seeing Thor do the splits, you could give me 30 more seconds of Bale. Like, you could have elongated his character, the depth of his character, and they gave a lot. For what screen time he had, they gave a ton for him. And he owned every minute of it. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. He is one of the villains in any of these properties that we've watched that I was like, oh man, I want more of you. I really want more of you. I thought Christian Bale, as always, did a fantastic job. Portman, she's a bit decisive, right? Divisive. She's decisive as well. And some of her films are just like, oh, dude, you're such a better actress than this. What was that? And then other ones, you're just like, there's Portman. She's a great actress. She's fantastic, right? This was one of those. She's just a good actress, man. She's just a good actress. That's all there is to it. They put her right back into this role. They gave it a ton of depth, a ton of arc for her character. Rock on. Tessa Thompson. For all of you ladies out there that were Googling, not the word I was going to use there, so weird, Hemsworth and all the muscles that were in this movie, I was throwing Tessa out there. I've told the wife, like, she's fighting to get into that top 5, and the wife is okay with it because she's already has Hemsworth locked into that role. Anywho, the movie had, it was conflicted. It had heart, it had some depth, and then it had the comedy that took you out, and then it had heart, and then it had scenes that was just like, oh, we're going to keep it cheesy. I'm not joking when I say this. Like, this was bordering, some of the cheesy campiness of this was bordering on, Schwarzenegger coming out and telling everyone, just chill. Like, it was that level of camp. And I thought we got away from that. I thought we make fun of those movies. So a lot of this film felt like it was making fun of Marvel. It was making fun of the MCU. And it was making fun of how things were done with some of their cheesy jokes. And there are so many smile and wink to the cameras of like, we're making this funny joke. Haha. I don't know. None of that hit for me. The story was solid. The story was very solid. Why we need to defeat this villain. It wasn't a total take over the universe type villain, which I was happy about, but it was on a grandiose scheme. So I've been on record saying, now that we've had Thanos, now that we've had a full take over the universe type guy, let's bring it down some to people who just want to rob a bank level. Maybe not that low, but you know what I mean? Like, we don't need to always the world is ending type villain, Eternals and all that kind of stuff. Let's scale it back some. And there was Gore the God Butcher. He wasn't trying to totally take over the world. Anyway, it has goods. I will rewatch this. It has some goods in here, but I will tell you, throughout watching it, I was just chill. Like, there wasn't a ton of scenes that were rock and roll. Some of the stuff towards the end, some final fight scenes, some opening fight scenes, they were great, and they added some really cool stuff to it. And we really honed in on the fact that Thor has like some powers, man, some legit powers, like save the day because the Guardians of the Galaxy can't handle it, so they need Thor to just come in and just wipe everything out. And so we went to that next level with his powers, of course. There are just a lot of elements of this film that were just kind of boring, literally, just kind of boring. Like, now am I Marvel fatigued? Maybe. I will say that 60-something% Rotten Tomatoes backs up my claim. The only 143 million backs up my claim. Like, you didn't even beat Doctor Strange. But if you said right now, hey, turn on the TV and I'm putting on either Multiverse of Madness or Love and Thunder, 100% I'm picking Love and Thunder. 100%. So I'm not going down that road. There are goods in this movie. Some of the main driving comedic elements just simply didn't hit. So let's move on. This is middle tier MCU for me. I'm going to keep it middle tier MCU, and that's fine. It's a fine spot to be at. It will never reach upper echelon. I'll 1-1A it with Ragnarok. Like, I liked Ragnarok. It was fine. I rewatched Ragnarok recently, just like as a refresher, just in case it was needed. It held okay. Oh, here's what I would say before we get into spoiler-free section is the way they brought Jane back, I thought was well done. I thought it was really well done. and the addition to element. That's it. The way they brought Jane back, I thought was really well done. It was smart. You didn't just kind of shoehorn in. There was a mild retconning, if you will, to kind of fix a couple of things where they needed to be like, no. The whole time it was like this. That was fine. I totally accept it. It was totally cool. All right, let's get into the spoiler-free section so that we can talk like normal humans. Him making the promise to Mjolnir to protect Jane forever, and then that's what makes her Thor. I really enjoyed that. I love that. And they built up the storyline of, he always pined for Jane. And that was great. And although, there was some flirty stuff with Valkyrie and Ragnarok, sure, cool. But having that love forever and them showing us that, no, they really loved each other, but it just, it didn't work out type thing. But there was still the love was never the issue. The feelings for each other was never the problem. Rock on. That I agreed with and I liked. I thought that was great and really well done. Portman, her acting in here, Gore, his acting in here when the daughter dies and then bringing back the daughter. You kind of felt like he was doing this just to bring her back. That's why it felt like this isn't a end of the world type scenario. He's just killing off gods so that he can then get to make his wish to then bring back his daughter. That was it. As a person who has a daughter who was sitting next to my daughter for that, fully get it, fully understand it. I probably would have done the exact same thing as this bad guy. Bale was just so good, so darn good. Giving us more Korg. I'll be honest, when they killed Korg, I was okay with it. I was like, great, give me some depth here. When they killed Lady Sif, okay, Lady Sif is dead. Nope, okay. When they killed Valkyrie, that sucked. I was mad. I was like, don't you dare kill Valkyrie. But still, give me some weight and some depth. It's like we're reaching a point here where you just can't kill good guys. And I don't know, at some point, kill a good guy. Kill off a good guy, please. It can't all be happy endings. Give me some consequence here with some of these films. And they weren't going to do this here. This is all camp and all cheese and all fun. And all right, that can be a good time. But we just went from the baddest of the bad in the MCU, and then you follow that up with Spider-Man No Way Home, which gives you so much heart and depth to it, and then, we'll just give you a fun campy one type thing. So I don't know the narrative of Phase 4, what they're trying to do type deal. Now, I will say, what they're definitely doing is allowing directors to do their thing, which is great, because Waititi is phenomenal. Sam Raimi, phenomenal. And you can definitely say, that's a Taika Waititi film. That's not necessarily an MCU film. That's a Taika one. And I'm okay with it. I'm not mad at that. But at the end of the day, you had a formula that created this monster. Don't go too far from said formula. Don't get too far away here. Keep it within the realm. You guys know me. I don't super love when we get into outer space and different realms. They're in this realm world and that world and they're off world. And so that kind of stuff is like, all right, cool. I do enjoy when things get fought just on Earth. So that's why I don't love the Guardians, because they're all we're just making up worlds. We're just making up planets. And you have to accept that. These are comic books. But that kind of stuff, I guess why it just doesn't pique my interest. But there are some things in here where they just, I promise you, when he gave his power to the kids, which was really cool, and then they showed the kids, the girl killing everyone with the bunnies, it's I guarantee you there were theaters out there that were crying laughing. Not mine. Mine couldn't care less. But I promise you there's folks out there that thought that was freaking great. And that's cool if you guys love that. That really is. Because I can understand why. It just didn't hit for myself. It didn't hit for my daughter. She was pretty bored, what have you. Every aspect of it was like, but I don't want to. It sounds like I'm bashing this movie, and it was fine. It was fine. Maybe I went in too high. It was fine. It was an enjoyable film. I will gladly rewatch it when the wife wants it. She didn't go, just my daughter and I went. So when she's ready to watch it, I will gladly sit down. I'll have to leave the room for the nudity scene. Obviously, she'll kick me out so that she can rewind it 11 times. So, fun story. Story time! Take Two Podcast story time. Here we go. Daughter and I are sitting there, empty seat. Then a young 20-something-year-old lady won over. By the way, their whole family, there was 4 of them together. We got there. They were already in their seats, and we had to walk by them. Every single one of the 4. Shoes already kicked off. Lounging back. I was like, whoa. All right, I get it. You want to get cozy, but I don't know. I don't want to see your socks. That was kind of weird. Either way, I've never kicked my shoes off in a movie theater. Not once in life. Either way. Nudity scene comes. Whatever. The dude's freaking jacked. Good on him. If he had any input on that, he's like, guys, I'm killing it in the gym. Can I just show off a bicep one time, please? Like, I get it, and I hope he did, and they did, and he's like, I'm doing I've never skipped leg day, and they have that joke in here. Never skipped leg day. Can we show off some quads or something? And so they do that, and you see his butt cheeks, whatever. So when we see that, right, the lady over next to me, she's like, she gives one of those, right? So laugh, haha. Like 11 seconds go by, and then she's like, he is fine. Like one of those, and I was like, whoa. So I turned to her, I was like, easy, lady. So she looks at me kind of like shy, like you heard that? And I was like, the theater heard that. So I was like, there's kids here. And she was like she gave like a, I don't care, like, good, great. Like she almost did a Michael B. Jordan, like breaking the retainer, like that one girl. We almost had that incident in my theater. This lady, she needed a timeout. She needed a little alone time. Either way, she wasn't wrong. Guy's a good looking fella. Where were we? Thor, Love and Thunder. I'll wrap it up, guys. I liked the movie. I'm on the positive side. It is very middle tier. The comedy didn't hit, and that was the issue when you have a movie filled with comedy and you want to go overly camp. And I guess maybe it was because I wasn't ready for them to just be camp. And we had Batman Forever, and we had Batman and Robin. We had these camp movies that everyone's like, oh, we can't ever do that again. Remember how bad that was? Remember that Green Lantern movie? Can't do that crap. Well, you kind of just did. That's exactly what you just gave us, was that level of a film, but with these fan favorite characters. The other part I didn't like is I felt like they dumbed down Thor. And I don't know if maybe he's been that way this whole time, and just like his character when he went through his emotional arc was just not talking as much. In Endgame he barely says words, but I really felt like they just dumbed him down. Like there were some scenes in there where he was very aloof and very kind of like, yes, well, I will just, punch, smash, grab. That's it. While other people are trying to think their way out of stuff. And I don't know. It felt like to me like the final couple seasons of Friends, when they, like, Joey is this character who's not the smartest in the room, but he's okay. He can get along with folks. But then the last couple seasons, they made him like dumb. Like he can't speak French. Like that was like bottom tier writing when that happened. There's elements of that in this, where it's like, wait a second, Thor's not an idiot. He's not, like super dumb. Like I was getting some of those vibes from that. Going forward, rock and roll with Hercules. I can't wait to see, first of all, Roy Kent, Brett Goldstein, jacked. He threw on some weight. And I told my daughter after, she obviously don't watch Ted Lasso. I was like, he's got a soccer player's build in Ted Lasso. And you see him with his shirt off a few times. He's a shredded dude, but it's like a soccer player, like a flat stomach, whatever. He's just an in-shape guy. But that, I don't know if they CG'd it or he's been hitting the weights. We'll find out in season 3 of Ted Lasso. Like if he comes in just like yoked, it's like, all right, he and Hemsworth were building up because they're Thor Part 5. Who would have thought that we're getting a Thor Part 5 at the very least? At the very least. All right, Thor Love and Thunder, guys, if you have any interest, do not let me tell you not to go. I will tell you. Just be ready for a fun time. Not some super... See, that's the problem, though. I say that, and it did have heart and depth to this film. It does have that. And I think maybe that's the part. Every time you gave me heart and depth, then you gave me a cheesy joke to go with it. Like the back and the forth and the back and the forth. Also, I'm sorry. The one other thing that I was kind of like, was that earned? Whole movie. Be with Jane. My love for Jane. I want to be with Jane. One sentence in there by Korg. Yeah, I think he'd make a great dad. And then in the end, he becomes a dad. Where did this come from? What? I felt that buildup was not earned. Like, magically, we're just going to... I get it. Like, he can't be with Jane. She's got to go to Valhalla. And then, so this is going to replace that. And now he gets her. All right. I just felt it wasn't built enough. I needed more sentences about him as a father, like him learning from his father. Like, we could have spent more time doing that. As opposed to him and the Guardians destroying a whole glass temple, which the guy just said, that's our most sacred piece. But then he just, like, that joke did not work for me. And you saw the joke coming from a million miles away. All right, I'm starting to ramble, so let's move on because the show is going to be lengthy. That's it, folks. That's it. Thor, Love and Thunder. Go check it out. It's okay. I really just realized how long the show is taking. Whoops. Either way, let's get rocking and rolling. The Boys! Season 3 dropped. Season 1 of The Boys, really good. Like, everyone was like, holy crap, we could do that on TV type stuff. Absolutely loved it. Season 2, it was fine. We got into some more, talky things and more in-depth of, like, the inner workings of how to take people down and whatnot. And I thought The Boys Season 2 was fine. Season 3, next freaking level, baby. They leveled up big time. Created by Eric Kripke, of course. This is, from your graphic novel series, The Boys. Carl Urban, Jack Quaid, Anthony Starr, excuse me, are your mains here, along with Aaron Moriarty and Jesse Usher, Dominic McElligott. And this season, we added Jensen Ankles. So I'm just talking about all my wife's favorite men is what this entire episode is going to be about. Guys, this is next level. I'm not going to get into spoilers. I'm not going to get anything crazy here. I'm just going to give you a quick review of The Boys Season 3. It's my favorite season. It was absolutely fantastic. Anthony Starr's Homelander is top-level villain, like top-level TV villain of all time. If we were to sit down and just start ranking TV villains, he's up top 5. Some folks might even argue him higher. And his acting... Go watch an interview with him as a normal person. Accent, all that. His acting is top notch. It needs to be recognized even higher. And I don't think it does. I think not a lot of people know how much he's actually acting in this show. They did some things that were kind of next level-y. The Hero-gasm episode, I joked about being let down on that one, but that thing was wild. 30-foot penis going to people. There was explosions of bodily fluid onto people, like large amounts of them, etc. So it was great. I thought The Boys leveled up this season. It made me want so bad for next season. We added so much depth to a couple of characters that were just kind of like on the side, that now the best part of a show, when you have a core group of characters that follows the minimal few as your leads in season 1, but they have their side characters. As seasons go on, you expand their storylines and allow those side characters to gain your interest just as much, if not more, than your lead. And that's 100% what The Boys do. Because I'm more interested in some of the cider characters than I am of Jack Quaid without Huey's storyline, to be honest. And so that's why I think The Boys is really, really dominating what they're doing. I don't want to get into spoilers. I'm just going to say that I absolutely loved it. I can't wait for season 4. I will say this. I hope they have an end game here of saying, like, we got season 4, we're going to book season 5, and then we're done. Because there are elements of, like, all right, how far can we go here? We're trying to defeat this villain. Once said villain is defeated, we're done, right? We're done? Because that's kind of what they have set up with this in this realm. Unless you come in here with this red herring, like, oh, we never told you about this guy. He's even worser, but he's been hiding. For why? That type of thing. Season 3 of The Boys, top level. I would put it at season 3, then 1, then 2. But it's a close. I absolutely loved it. Recency bias be darned. I thoroughly enjoyed The Boys. I highly recommend everyone checks that out on Amazon Prime. Lastly, the final review of Take Two Podcast. Here we go. Superman and Lois season 2 wrapped up on the CW a couple of weeks ago, actually, but I had to catch up and then save it for now. And I had already told you why. Tyler Hoechlin is making a claim in Superman status, okay? Welling will forever own Clark Kent. Reeve will forever own the role. Like, in my opinion, it's hard to ever surpass that. Cavill just has the look. Like, the guy just, you see him on the street, that's freaking Superman, right? When you see him, and he just hasn't been given as much to do, right? Cavill could get there, but they just don't give him it for some reason. We haven't gotten Clark Kent out of him yet. Hoechlin, on the other hand, has been given Clark Kent, and he's been given Superman now, and he's been given Smallville. We get all of it, right? We got a little bit of Metropolis in season 1 from him. He's giving us everything you need out of a Superman, and he's bringing it to now generation, where this now generation of comic readers are reading as Superman the dad, Superman the husband, right? I grew up not on that. You, the listener, most likely grew up not on that. You grew up on just Superman, and he was dating Lois, and then he married Lois, and that's it. That's the best we got. Now he's a dad. Well, that's what the show is. The show is like, all right, we're just going to parallel that. We're going to make him Superman the dad, and let's deal with that. This season specific, better than season 1. The front half was fantastic. He's fighting Bizarro. That was rock on. Then we find out where Bizarro came from, gave him a little bit of background, some story. They're trying to merge Bizarro world with this world. It got a little grandiose where it was like, whoa, we're at like universe world ending stuff. And in the end, like 2 more people find out his secret. Like it was, all right, the world's about to end. Somehow Superman keeps showing up in Smallville. Like what? Like there's that kind of like those little hiccups in there. Like at some point a Smallvillian had to have been like, dude, why are you here? our Earths are colliding and you're here? Like, why? Like, I love Kansas, but come on. That type of thing. And it just never, I don't know, it never came to fruition. Like, those are the kind of things you just have to kind of turn a quick blind eye. Like, nobody will know who Superman is because he wears glasses. That kind of like, all right, I get it. But he did reveal it. I will say this. And this is with every comic property across the board, who anyone has a secret identity. Spider-Man, Superman, they do this thing of like, oh, I'm lying to everyone. I've never felt it's lying. I've never once felt that it's like lying to their family, lying to their friends. There's a reason. They're not telling you who they are to protect you so that you don't get murdered by Lex Luthor. Like, that's why they're not lying to you. They just can't tell you that they're Superman because now everyone will be out to kill you so they can get to Superman. Like, how don't you understand this math? So these people that find out the secret are like, oh, the whole time? When they figure that out, like, don't be mad at it. Like, I get it. You couldn't tell me, because if you did, Brainiac would have kidnapped and killed me and my kids. Why don't you understand these things? I don't know. This season especially really dug deep. Oh, I'm lying. I'm lying to them. I had to lie to them. You lied to me. Why did you lie to me? Well, because you'd be dead. That's why I lied. Cool. Can we just move on? Watch that? Anyway, I thought the season was very good. I thought the front half of the season was great. The back half kind of shifted into neutral and then ended. Ironically, I think it kind of ended on a smooth path and it didn't give us like that cliffhanger, like, oh, bad guy for next season. Did not really give us that, just in case, but it did get picked up for season 3. And it did end well. I'm looking forward to that. The one thing I will ask for season 3, can I get some Superman fighting stuff? Because his scenes, when they finally do that, him versus Bizarro, they've been great. The cinematography, especially back in season 1, but this season 2, been great. Really well done. Give me that. And CW has canceled like the majority of their superhero shows. Give the money to this show. Just boost it up. Give me one more season out of this and move on. I'd be totally cool with that. Totally cool. Really enjoy Superman Lois, guys. Try and catch up on that because I highly, highly recommend it. Now, moving along, we are done. Done. Sorry, that just hit me. Done with reviews. Done with reviews for Take Two Podcast. That's it, guys. We are all done with your reviews for Take Two Podcast. There's a first take coming up a little bit later, but that is it. That is, I thought about going back and trying to count the amount of reviews the show has done. It proved impossible. It literally did. There have been thousands. I'm not kidding. Thousands of reviews. We did 300 episodes, no less. Like, if it averaged out to probably 3, we'll call it 3 per ep, right there, you're just under 1,000. And then, man, 3 sounds low, as I say it. But then we've had specialty shows and this shows, and that's it. It's literally in the 1,000 area of reviews. And so, any hoot. Wow. Moving on. Done with the reviews. Oh, what's in the glass? Here we go, folks. An old segment. What's in the glass? This show based out of Washington, D.C., because we have hosts. Majority of our hosts are from the great state, the best state in the land, Maryland, and a couple others from Virginia. And that's why we're based out of D.C., because it's in the middle there. And, of course, we all met and work in Washington, D.C. But I wanted to give a Maryland beverage for the What's in the Glass, and that is Sagamore. Sagamore rye is delicious. Funny thing how your tastes grow and change over the years, man. Before I even became a big like bourbon guy, if I would try rye whiskey, oh god no, burn my taste buds. Like a hard pass, no thanks. Pass me Sam Adams instead, right? But as you develop, as you get older, as your taste buds burn off, that type of thing, Sagamore has become one of my faves, man. Their Sagamore rye is absolutely delicious. It is my favorite. I'm not just saying that just because it is the Maryland local beverage, but I am a big fan of Sagamore rye. Highly recommend going. It's just outside of Baltimore, the distillery. You can go there, take a great tour. They have great tastings right up the road, and highly recommend that. So if you are ever in the best state in the country, and that is Maryland, go put on a Maryland flag t-shirt and go to Sagamore Rye and visit them and purchase a bottle. Purchase 2 bottles. Call me, and we'll share the second one together and have a good time. So what's in the glass? The final one for Take Two Podcast is Sagamore Rye Whiskey. Delicious. Trailer talk time. This is an old one. Trailer talk. All right, back in the day, this was 100% Tony's, and he knew it. His segment that he liked to do is trailer talk. Whenever new trailers would come out, we would discuss them on here. Half the time, he would throw me 10 trailers to watch that week, and I'd maybe get to 5 of them. And I felt bad every single time. I honestly did, but I just would forget to watch trailers. But either way, we would discuss them. So I wanted to bring Trailer Talk back as some love for Tony, because this was his baby. This was his segment. It should have been Tony's Trailer Talk. That's what we should have called it, the TTT. Clerks 3 dropped his trailer. Kevin Smith's, I was going to say sequel, but it's part 3 to Clerks. It looks good. It looks fine. You know, it looks like Kevin Smith is really like diving within. He had that health scare a while back, and he has really just like, I'm taking every single day for granted type mentality, which is awesome. We should all do that more often. I saw a real fun, like a meme or something that said, let's normalize saying what we say at funerals on birthdays to people. And like that spoke to me. Like we say the nicest shit about people at their funeral. And sometimes we go a little grandiose with it because, you know, just to say nice things. But why don't we tell people that on their birthdays? Why don't we say nicer things to, you know, say, hey, hope you have a great day, happy birthday, or that dumb stuff, HBD. That's the dumbest thing of all time. That's worse than the motorcycle. HBD, like think about what you're writing, people. When you say HBD, happy birthday, birthday is one word. It's bad English, first of all. And you're too freaking lazy. You can't spell out happy birthday to me. Your phone probably autocorrects it anyway. Just put H. I bet you it says happy. B probably says birthday. Anyway, that was a rant. Either way, we should really know. I fully agree with that. Let's normalize on people's birthdays at the very least. Just tell them one nice thing about them. Hey, man, you're funny. Happy birthday. Hope you have a great day. Like, that's it. Hey, you're a good-looking dude. Just want to let you know, I really admire the effort you put in at our job. Why don't we normalize that? I fully adhere to that. How did I get there from Clerks 3 trailer? September 13th, this is dropping. It looks like Kevin Smith really is just diving. The what's his name character in there goes through a health scare. Then he decides he now wants to make movies, make the best of his life. I'm in. And I kind of want to rewatch Clerks 2 because I kind of skimmed watching that movie, if I recall. So either way, that drops September 13th. Now, the movie that is like kid gloves getting excited for, and I'll explain in a minute why, November of this year is Amsterdam. Now, A, why are you excited? Christian Bale, Margot Robbie, John David Washington, Chris Rock, Anya Taylor-Joy, Zoe Saldana, Mike Myers, Michael Shannon, Timothy Oliphant, Taylor Swift, Alessandro Nivola, Matthias Schoenaerts, Robert De Niro, just to name a few, are all inside this David O. Russell film. It looks great. Just saw the trailer. I actually saw the trailer again when we were at Thor. It looks like a lot of fun. A couple guys are accused of murder. Did they commit the murder? Now they got to get away with it, but also solve the murder at the same time. A lot of fun film. But it's David O. Russell. And David O. Russell has recently just been accused of some abuse things on set. And this could get tricky. Don't be shocked if you see this movie pushed, just so we can get away from that headline. And then people can then get excited. So hopefully they forget about this guy. The studios have done worse before. Outside of that off-the-field nonsense, this looks great. I'm a fan of David O. Russell as a director. As a director, I'm a big fan of his work and some of the films he's given us in the past. So, that's it. Excited for both Clerks 3. Really excited for Amsterdam. It's just hard to be like, hey, super excited for David O. Russell when it turns out that he's a shitbag. Anywho. All right, done with the trailer talk. On to the casting couch. Rockin' and rolling casting couch. Pain Hustlers is a Netflix project. Chris Evans and Emily Blunt attached to this film. I like all the names involved there, so I will be watching that once it comes around. The Godfather of Harlem series over on Epic Season 3 has added Michael Ray James to play Joe Colombo. He's famous off of The Offer show that we all just watched and reviewed a couple of weeks ago. They brought Joe Colombo back into the zeitgeist. Why not keep striking while that iron's hot? Lady in the Lake. This is the Apple series that has Natalie Portman, and they had to replace Lupita Nyong'o, as we mentioned. Either way, they have added Mike Epps and Noah Jupe. The Bong Joon-ho Netflix movie that still does not have a title. I mean, this has Robert Pattinson and Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette. They've added Steven Yeun to that. Nice, lovely cast that we have rocking on there. Chris Pine's directorial debut is Pool Man. Chris Pine is also starring in this. Annette Bening, Danny DeVito, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and they've just added DeWanda Wise. That is a hell of a cast. And lastly, Pussy Island. Zoe Kravitz's directorial debut as well. Has Christian Slater, Gina Davis, Haley Joel Osment, Channing Tatum, to name a few. That is rounding out its cast and gets filming soon. That is it. We are finally off of the casting couch. Now, on to our first take. First Take never had music, so there's no musical intro into this segment, but we used to give you we would watch an ep or 2 to 3 episodes of a show and, some series that weekly drops, but say, hey, listen, we're not going to give you a review for 10 more weeks. Just want to let you guys know this is a show that I'm watching. If you want to jump on board, here's my initial thoughts. Miss Marvel on Disney Plus is going to be the First Take. Now, granted, this isn't really First Take because Ep5 just dropped, so it wraps. You might be listening to this, it might be wrapped. But this is a show that I'm in the middle of right now. I like it. I'm positive on it. I think I'm more positive on it than some, because some people have fallen off. I will say episodes 1, 2, and 3 were great. Towards the end of 3, 4, and then 5 have steadily gone downward. Even this most recent episode was like, what? It was a quick ep. It was like 41 minutes. And it was like, what did I just watch sort of thing? Like, that was really fast and really out of nowhere type deal. And this is off I'm Not High on Moon Knight. So it's kind of like, there's a lot of that with Moon Knight. And then this last episode of Miss Marvel was that. I'm loving Kamala Khan. I'm loving the narrative of her going forward in the MCU. I'm hoping that this final episode finishes strong. I'm hoping that we see Brie Larson. I'm hoping this final episode is like an hour and 10 minutes. Like, give me a lot here. Because overall, I'm on the positive side. I recommend everyone catch up to the Miss Marvel over on Disney+. All right, on to the Hollywood news. We're going to lead things off with the bads, and it was a bad week for the Mafia. A bad week for the movie Mafia, that's for sure. First up, James Caan, Sonny Corleone himself, passed away at age 82. Very sad. A lot of great stories about him. The one good story, he was offered a huge role in Apocalypse Now and turned down Coppola because his wife had just gotten preg with Scott Caan. And he said no. He's like, I can't be away from my wife for 5 months while she's pregnant. And this was early on in the pregnancy. Good on it. Just things like that, like, speak to him as a person, as a human being. Lots of nice things. Again, people say nice things at funerals. Guys, let's normalize saying nice things on birthdays. By the way, my birthday is August 22nd. Anyway, RIP 82. That's a full life, but still could have gotten more out of him. You say James Caan, I think Sonny Corleone. I know people think Elf. I know people think other things, but there you go. And then Tony Sirico, which is insane. I'm in the middle of a Sopranos rewatch, my 4th time watching the entire series. He played Paulie Walnuts, just a character. Like, when you talk about like top TV just characters, like an out there character, that was Paulie Walnuts, and Tony Sirico dominated it. 79 years old, he passes away. Sad to hear that he passed. 70, early 80s, 70s. That's still young, in my opinion. The older we get, the more medicines and technology progresses. People should last longer. Fun story about that. He didn't audition for Paulie Walnuts. Paulie Walnuts was not even a character yet for the show. But when he auditioned, he gave like an extra little nuance that David Chase was like, hang on, I don't like you for what you're auditioning for. But let's see if we can do something here. And wound up creating the character of Paulie Walnuts for Tony Sirico. So good for him. Rest in peace, both of those guys up in the big bada bing in the sky. The Duffer Brothers have come out and said that Stranger Things will have a spinoff. And they also even have a stage play planned. So even though next season of Stranger Things is the final season, season 5 will be the final season, they got more coming. You will get these spinoffs. Woohoo! And a lot of it will be in the Upside Down. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued at what they're going to go, because I don't know how much deeper can we dive, but they've got plans and they're smart dudes, so who knows. Also, they did say that season 5 will have shorter eps. Whereas last week I was saying maybe we'll just get like 4 hour-and-a-half episodes, like 4 long ones. They said that they will all be shorter next season, which I love hearing that, but how many episodes are you giving me type thing? Whatever, I'm going to watch it either way. Zelda Williams, Robin Williams' daughter, is making her directorial debut. Just booked Lisa Frankenstein. That just got announced. Good for Zelda Williams. Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons got married. Congratulations. I added that in here for a little Take Two TMZ. Take 2MZ, is that what we use? I forget. But Jen used to do her Jen's Juice of the week, and so I wanted to add in a little off the field stuff there for Dunst and Plemons. I actually already thought they were married, to be honest with you, but apparently they actually got married over the weekend. And then lastly, fun little thing. Apparently, Taika Waititi is doing Star Wars next. He has the next big Star Wars movie. We already know this. Apparently, while talking to Natalie Portman on set or whatever, he brought up that he's doing a Star Wars film and asked her if she'd have any interest being in it. And then she was like, kind of done those. And he's like, wait, what? And then it was just one of those bubbles where he 100% forgot that she played Queen Amidala, and she was a huge part of the prequel series. And yeah, so he admitted it. He was like, complete brain bubble on my part. Totally forgot that, yeah, she was kind of in a Star Wars film already. Kind of a main character in 3 Star Wars movies. That is it for the Hollywood news. On to the DC discussion. Short DC discussion. 1, they confirmed they will be at Comic-Con, which starts up next week. Comic-Con San Diego. I expect this Comic-Con to be gigantic. We have a lot of groups that have taken weeks off. Disney, Marvel, DC, etc. is confirmed to be coming back. So this will be huge, and DC said we've got some news to announce. So that's the reason these last couple of weeks DC has been quiet, is because they're just waiting to just boom hit you with all this stuff at Comic-Con. Now, something that they could hit us with, which I don't think they will, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson himself, heavily teased Henry Cavill being in Black Adam, Henry Cavill still being involved in the DCEU. I was desperately wanting like a legitimate source to legitimately announce that Henry Cavill is back for Man of Steel Part 2 for my announcement here for the final episode. But no, that didn't happen. But we did get like a... And The Rock's not one to dick around here. He's not going to put stuff like that out there. He doesn't want to give false hope to anybody. He would definitely give you legit in his career. He's done it a lot. Who knows? Maybe you'll get a specialty emergency pod when Cavill is announced for Man of Steel Part 2. That wraps up the DC discussion. Can anybody tell I'm getting, as we've wrapped each one of these, Marvel Minute time. There are rumors that Andrew Garfield has been officially talked to about a 3-movie deal to continue playing Spider-Man. This is not new. This has been around since December, but apparently these rumors are gaining actual traction, and we're probably going to see Andrew Garfield be Spider-Man again. Okay. All right. They were setting up the Sinister Six. They were setting up some great things with his Spider-Man, and he did a great job of it. His Peter Parker, but his Spider-Man was fantastic. And they gave so much depth to it with Gwen Stacy dying, spoiler, and then how they closed that a little bit in No Way Home. Okay, I could watch it. I could also be totally fine if we're good. Like, don't water down what you gave me in No Way Home, right? Don't water down that moment. Speaking of watering down moments, okay? When Captain America caught the hammer in Endgame, one of the top theatrical moments for me in life, and many other folks, that moment on screen, bar none, phenomenal, right? Like, goosebumps, cheers, actual yelling, applauding out loud, tears, everything. When he caught that hammer, everyone catches the hammer now. They're throwing the Stormbreaker, that kid caught it. Mjolnir, that kid caught it. Like, everybody, like, you're watering down that Captain America was worthy and able to catch that hammer. Now they're just giving the damn thing to everybody. That was one other thing about the movie. I was like, time out. Why can everybody pick this thing up right now? Not everybody. I'm being exaggerated. Captain America 4. Speaking of Cap, what a segue, Brian. Didn't even plan it. Julius Ona has been tapped to direct. Marcus Spellman is going to be writing it. These are official now. Marcus Spellman did Winter Soldier, so hey, we got a great writer on board there. And Julius Ona is a solid director. He will be directing Captain America 4. A quick PSA. All the people that are upset that this is being called Captain America 4 or not the Black Captain America or whatever, shut the up. Okay? He's Captain America. Go read a comic. Okay? Sam Wilson becomes Captain America. Like, what is wrong with you? Sam Wilson becomes Captain America. That's it. I prefer Steve Rogers as Captain America, but in the comic books, he dies. Sam Wilson takes over. Bucky is Captain America for a while. Like, what are you guys talking about here, Harry? Go read a book. Educate yourself before you start. And plus, any backlash you have towards this automatically makes you look racist. Immediately. Sorry, I don't make the rules, but immediately it does. And what's your point here? Why are you not my Captain America? Chris Evans is the only Captain America. What is wrong with you? Pay attention to what just happened in all the films, okay? This isn't like they're recasting. It's a different character. And this character will be different. It's going to be a different dude fighting different battles. So calm the crap down, okay? Anywho, little PSA there. Thor officially marks we are halfway through Phase 4 now. So half the films of Phase 4 up to this point, and then now we're on the downslope. Again, Marvel has confirmed they will be at Comic-Con next week, so we will get more announcements. Woohoo! Looking forward to all that. They asked Taika Waititi. Apparently, he has 4 hours of footage. This movie was just under 2. Fantastic. That's a plus for the movie. Apparently, he filmed 4 hours of footage, and they asked, oh, are we going to get an extended cut? Are we going to get a Waititi cut? No. He was like, nah. He said that extra stuff, and this is a funny sentence to say, coming from my review I just gave. He said that extra stuff was a lot of jokes that just didn't land. and there's no need to have that. It doesn't give any depth to the film. It doesn't further the story along. I promise you. The extra footage that we shot was just stuff that we were like, that wasn't that funny. We're not going to use it. So, thank you for not doing that. Lastly, confirmation. Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox will be in the Echo series that is coming up this fall on Disney+. They have been confirmed to want to be in the She-Hulk series that would be coming out in August. And so we will be getting much, much more of Daredevil and Kingpin going forward in all these Disney Plus series, leading us to hopefully another Daredevil series, which we have yet to confirm, but it looks like all these writings are on the walls, and I love it. That is it for the Marvel Minute. Now we're time to go forward. Good news, guys. Good news. I just looked at my clock, and I have somewhere to be soon, so I can't ramble. So I now have given myself a hard out. Hard outs, man. When this show started, we used to record Monday nights, 7, but we had hard outs at, like, everyone was like, all right, I got a hard out at 9. I got a hard out at 8:30. Then my job switched. I started working midnights. Same with Tony's and Craig as well. And we had hard outs. You got to leave by 9 because we got to get to work, etc. Some people had a hard out because they just wanted to go to bed. This show began, Nick and I had an idea to start a YouTube show and just doing movie reviews and talking about comics. That was it. Pre the Me Too movement, we were going to do a top 5 every week. Well, we were going to do a top 5 every week, and it was going to change. It was going to be different, but the first one ever was top 5 attractive comic characters, I guess, was what we were doing. Either way. So, glad that never got off the ground. Either way, we started the YouTube thing. Nick realized how much work that is to do an actual YouTube show. And so we pumped the brakes. And then after a while, we circled back around, and podcasting was becoming a thing. I pitched the idea. I was like, well, why don't we try and podcast it? Nick straight up was like, yes, 100%, let's do it. That was the birth of this baby. Nick came on, then we brought on other, co-hosts, Bo, Tony, Craig, Roy, and started just doing weekly shows. And it became a thing, and it was fantastic. And the show was a lot of fun. Some of the most fun I've ever had in my life was doing this podcast, whether we were podcasting just like this over Skype with each other, or live events where we met up and got to hang out. John came on, added, like John was our number one fan for a while, and then he just became a host. It was one of those jobs. Was it Rockstar with Wahlberg, where he became the Rockstar? Yeah. So that was John. John was our rock star. And then we hired Jen, and Jen did a great job. She came, we met her at one of our Brews and Beats events, and she had a hell of a resume, and then jumped on, and then was in the rotation heavily for a while. For a while, they're like we had a stretch, I think, where it was like just Jen and I for like 5 straight weeks or something like that. And she did a good job. And then life happens, and people move on, and what have you. And for various amounts of reasons, each host at some point moved on, plain and simple. And it was a blast, and it was, I'm struggling to find the right words here, because, when you look back on things, you can think of the goods and the bads, and our show had its moments for sure. And each host leaving had different reasonings for why they left the regular weekly show. 3 of them, Roy, Craig, and John, main reason they left was to do their spinoff and just totally focus on that spinoff. And Bo and Nick, they admitted that it was a lot more work than they were expecting, because our show was taking off and we were getting listeners and getting popular, if you will. And so, that was it. And Jen just had stuff off the field that her time didn't, it takes a lot of time to do this. It really does. And then Tony and I, we wound up linking up, number one reason because of our schedules. Our schedules matched up perfectly, and it made it easier for he and I just to do it. And then we just got into a rhythm. And again, the show wasn't perfect, but it worked type deal. And we got into a nice little rhythm together for almost 2 years of just he and I doing this. And a lot of you listeners already know that. And it was great. It was fantastic. And when I look back on Take Two, when I look back on those 8 other people, I have nothing but positive feelings for each and every one of them. I miss talking to each of them. I have missed talking to each of them on a weekly basis on this show. And the numbers since October, since it has become just me, have been great. They've grown. And I thank you guys for listening. But in my opinion, podcasting, you need a second voice. And that is a big reason that I've been okay with just being done. Because as much as I love this, I miss Roy. I miss Jen. I miss John. I miss Craig, Bo, Nick. Like, I miss just talking to them. And I really miss Tony. And just talking podcasting. Just bullshitting, man. And just having a good time. And that's what the show was. When CW hired us, they said, what do you give us? And we were like, well, just regular folks. We were just regular guys. 5 dudes. 1 podcast. That just talk movies and TV, man. And they're like, all right. And they said, do you have any black people? No. Do you have any girls? No. We're 5 white middle-aged dudes. And they still hired us. We gave them nothing for diversity. Whatever. We did not help that whatsoever. There's no reason we're not there anymore. But that was it from day one. And we never went away from that. We reached out for sponsors and reached out for, ads and sure. But then at the end of the day, it was like, that's not what we're doing here. We're doing this to podcast and for you guys to listen to our opinion on some movies. And for me to make you guys yell at your speaker for telling you that I didn't like Thor, and I hope it worked. I hope you did yell at your speaker and didn't turn it off and just say, I'm still going to listen. I disagree vehemently about his views on this movie or that movie. One of the maddest ever, I'll give you one story. One of the maddest ever, I think Tony was at me, was after I gave my review of the movie Tag, which I hated. He then, months later, watched it, and he laid into me. He was like, buddy, I didn't watch this movie because of your review. I just watched it. It's great. And, great might have been too strong word, but he was like, oh, wow, I liked it. It was, but he was mad at me because he purposely didn't watch it because of my review. But I think that's the beauty of this. That was the beauty of podcasting. That was the beauty of all of this, A flaw that Tony and I used to have when we record together was we agreed too much. And sometimes we would have to try and disagree to try and make it better, I'm kind of medium, but I'll be extra medium just to make the show better because we agreed on things a lot, Spinoffs, man. Spinoffs of Take Two podcasts were glorious. It's so great that Roy created his own show, The Realm. John and Craig, they're wrestling the T3 pod, and their popularity was phenomenal. Sadly, their schedules stopped them from being able to do that show. But if they turn the mics back on tomorrow, I promise you they would blow up. Nick and Bo had the sci-fi science fiction pod. I think it was called Science Fiction Pod spinoff where they just talked all sci-fi things. That was the precursor. That was the prequel to The Realm because they did sci-fi things and then it got into the realm of Take Two. Either way, their thing only lasted 3 eps, but either way, we had the Brews and Beats section, which was a lot of fun, where we would go out, live events, interview people, and that's where I got to kind of cut my chops, if you will, on interviewing people and live interviews of random ass people, musicians, and have them on. And some of those interviews were god awful. We would tell the musicians, we'll interview you, but then we're going to talk about movies. And I'm like, hey, so what do you watch? I'm like, I don't watch TV. I'll never forget 2 dudes I don't watch fucking TV. It's all right. Sorry, man. We kind of told you what we were going to talk about. You could have said no. Anyway. Celebs. We had Kevin Sorbo on here. We had Dwyer Brown on here. Maria Breeze on here. We had, Sanjeev Surpal on here. What's he up to, man? We had some good ones actually on this show. And could have gone for more. Could have swung higher, but we just really fell in love with this lane. I fell in love with it, man. I fell in love with Take Two Podcast. Don't be surprised if I get a Take Two Podcast tattoo one day. Craig will do it with me. I know you will, buddy. All right. Nick, Bo, John, Craig, Jen, Roy, Tony. I love each and every one of you guys, and I miss you guys. I miss you guys in this area. Some of you guys I don't talk to at all anymore, and I miss you there. But as far as podcasting goes, I will forever look back on these 6 years, on these 300 episodes, these 692 episodes positively and in a glorious light. You guys are all a chapter in my life that I will never forget. And this is like that funeral thing where you only say nice things at funerals. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing the one thing I said not to do. Maybe if I did the birthday thing, I wouldn't be talking about myself right now, right? But just getting to turn this microphone on and just plug in our USB. That's it. Who would do just a USB podcast? Screw you, that pod that said that about us, because your show only lasted. Never mind. All right, we're gonna stay positive. Man, listen. Hey, not for nothing, not to talk shit. But Take Two Podcasts outlasted so many pods. So many pods out there. And other podcasts that would trash our show hardcore You guys didn't last a dang. And we outlasted you, baby. So suck it. You're not even listening. Who cares? Thank you, listeners. Listeners. Anytime we got an email, anytime we got a review, which, by the way, you're still allowed to do that. 5-star rating and review would be great. Really help the show grow. It just made my day. Made my week, you know? It was just one of those things where it's like, holy crap. Hey, someone's actually listening. Hey, someone actually gives a darn to take 1 minute out of their day. 1 minute out of their day and say, hey, guys, keep on podcast. Shoot. Darn it. I was close. I almost made it. Take Two Podcast has been a glorious chapter in my life. And I am happy to say goodbye. Thank you to everyone who listened. Thank you to everyone who interacted with the show. And thank you to every single one of you who disagreed with every single one of my reviews. For the final time, my name is Brian. This is Take Two Podcast. Have a great night, everybody.